Okay, so hey, black women, long time no drive video. But yeah, I gotta go to the doctor today, so that's why I'm driving. Now we gotta keep up with our health, right? Make sure we get our blood work done and stuff like that. So steps en route. Okay, thank you, car, because I forgot to lock the doors. Listen, I was watching a very good video today by I don't like the angle on this. Let me fix it. A little bit better. Okay. So I was watching a video today by Nosy Neighbor Lady, right? And the reason you guys hear me talk about her a lot is because this is a small YouTuber who has potential to be a great fucking YouTuber who actually will benefit and actually help the esteem and soul of black women. Like, this is a woman where, although she hasn't gotten all of her demons together yet, and she's still working on improving herself, she has a lot of wisdom in what she's constantly talking about to women, right? So this is why I say this about her. Even though, you know, I'm not going to front. If a person I feel needs to be critiqued because their message is going to be immediately harmful to black women, I'm going to speak about it. And I have said that about her a few times. So much to the point where she actually blocked me. And, you know, I don't have any hard feelings about that. She has that's her option, right? But the thing is, I was trying to give her what I call corrective criticism, right? Because she's good when it comes to like encouraging black women and trying to get black women to understand that you ain't no victim in this world, right? And just because people beat down on you does not mean that you deserve that shit, and you're supposed to internalize that to feel like that's all you deserve in life, because that's bullshit, right? So when she's speaking on that promotion, advocation for black women to love themselves and to work on the inner crisis to become better, she's dynamite, yo. But when she slips into that drinking shit that she does way too often, I told her about that. She didn't appreciate that, but it's true. Let the fucking alcohol go and your mind can think clearer. Your body will function better, right? She got offended, as you know, as to be expected. No one wants to be told by a stranger, you know, you fucking up, and this is how you fucking up. But if you stop doing that, you'll be a whole lot fucking better. You know what I mean? So she took offense to me because she thought I was trolling or doing what regular black women do on here, which is to like try to disrespect other content creators and minimize them and you know, downsize them to the point where you try to make people feel they're insignificant. That has never been my goal or what I'm doing on this platform. It has always been to open the eyes of black women and to get them to think better about themselves and each other collectively. Because America and history and life itself has done a number on black women already to try to make us feel like we ain't shit. But when you sit there believing you ain't shit, that's the fucking problem, right? Okay, so she was talking today about stop blaming your mother for things that happen in life, even if it was bad. I've told you that too, because what everybody tends to do, especially when they're young, is to feel like, oh, because mom is the first teacher of the child and pretty much like God to children, they tend to act like, you know, when mom does something wrong to me, it is the epitome of the world coming to the fucking end because she's my mom, and how dare she do me dirty, more dirty than everybody else, when she's supposed to have my back and she's supposed to really be protecting me to the point where, you know, I feel like I'm untouchable by all the evils of the earth, which is true to a certain extent. But what we tend to always forget is that mothers are fucking people too. And they have had childhoods that damaged them as well. They have parents that damage them as well. And let's just keep it 100, right? Every black woman is fucked up in this world because of a black male. Let's be real. Whether it's the father, the boyfriend, the husband, the casual acquaintance, whatever the fuck he is, relative, it's always because of one of them. And if you don't believe that, there's something wrong with you. Because in this particular country, black males had more freedoms before black women ever could. We were the last people to get freedoms. If you know your history, when it came to the 14th Amendment, right? Black males were allowed to exercise that alone. Although it was supposed to be for all black people, only black males were ever allowed to exercise all those constitutional supplements that went in 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment to help black people. They didn't give a fuck about women and children. It was only about males, right? So that's the reason why for like 2 to 3 years out of this country's history, within the Reconstruction period and the Freedmen's Bureau, were only black males elected to public office. And then after the Republicans decided that, oh, fuck these people, we don't care about them, they slaves anyway, we're gonna keep treating them like that, they took all our rights away. Even though those black males at the time, who were actually real black men who fought for the rights of black people, family, and our inclusion in community, and our own towns, and our ownership and enfranchisement of what we had, they still fucked them up anyway. Threw them out of public office, ran them out of town, killed a whole lot of them, just like did a lot of disgusting, dirty shit to them that, you know, could have been avoided, but because racial prejudice is a big thing, it was like that, you know, and nobody really wanted to help the black people. So when you think about that in terms of black families from the 1800s, no, I shouldn't say 1800s, 1890, 1790 to present, we have been, black women that is, have been put in a position to be used and abused by everybody by laws that society dictated about us. Not because your mother wanted to be a wretch, not ratchet. Understand the difference in the definition of words. She wanted to be a wretch, or she wanted to be a drug addict, or whatever else, alcoholic, because they had all that shit back then too, right? That wasn't her choice. The fact that she was legally barred from voting, legally barred from working real jobs that would make her viable to the point where she didn't need a man in her home to help take care of her children and make ends meet and live a good life. All those things stood on top of that black woman's head. And when those men would prey on little girls and fuck their daughters and their nieces and their cousins and their stepdaughters, and when the mothers died or they killed the mothers, they took the oldest daughter and turned her into the wife, fucking her, having children with her, making her take care of her siblings as if they were her children, with her own father, who now has self-proclaimed himself as her fucking man, her husband. This is all the sick shit that our mothers come from. So when you sitting here pointing the finger at them and talking about how you let this man do this to me, and how you jealous of me, and you hate your daughter, and none of that shit is the way you think it is. And that's another thing y'all better realize. When you have not had a lot of living on this earth, please stop thinking that you know better than people that been here long before you, okay? You have not literally experienced as much life as we have, whether you think we 100% wrong or not. But you know what? I had to explain this to my own daughter, because she was kicking a lot of some of that stupid, ignorant bullshit that RWS #exposed does, with all that dumb shit about trying to make it seem like because you're an older woman, you're out of touch with reality, you don't understand what's going on. I wake up in this morning and in this day and in this life on this earth the same fucking way you do. I'm not allowed to walk out in society with blinders on or pretend that I'm white and I deserve special treatment just because I'm old and I'm senile now, or I don't see things the way you do. Them niggas touch me just the same way they touch you. Talking about white niggas, right? They fuck with my life the same way they fuck with you. They could take your jobs from you, your housing from you, anytime they want, because they run this system, right? However, they do not run your ability to maintain your resiliency, you constantly improving yourself so that you are always able to be employed, always able to make money on the side, up front and from behind. You understand? So when people young women are talking like that and trying to pit younger women against older women, they're fucking idiots. And there are people who have not lived long enough to understand that we're all damaged, okay? Each one to a different level of damage, but we're all fucking damaged, right? Take a person like me. I have been sexually abused as a child, raped and everything, right? My mother was strung out on drugs. She got off it. She started doing alcohol, went back to drugs. All because her life wasn't so great. And things that happened to her in her childhood were her outside, just being a black girl in the street, walking home from school. My mother, because there was some lecherous old niggas in the neighborhood that liked my mother's white looking skin, her funny eyes, and her curly hair, they kidnapped my mother and fucked my mother for 3 days in a fucking abandoned apartment building. No one knew where my mother was. And back in those days, right, they abducted and did fucked up shit to black women all the time, but it wasn't laws and shit like it is today, where we could have went and made a police report and they put out a fucking Amber Alert. You know how they would have went even up to today, which is why we now have the Ebony Alert, right? So they did that to my mother. If you think that shit didn't traumatically, mentally, psychologically scar my mother, you're fucking crazy, okay? That is the reason why when my father came back from Vietnam, dope addict, from taking heroin in Vietnam to deal with the massive murders and killings that he was doing and seeing, he could not handle it. He turned my mother onto it, and because of her physical trauma and the fact that they didn't send black women to therapy back then to work with the fact that they could just be walking down the street, somebody grab them into some abandoned place, rape them up, kill them up, fucking turn them into prostitutes. They did that to black women during the 50s and the 40s. All this shit is the times that your mamas lived through that you people don't know nothing about, but yet you trying to make it appear as if she's just sitting there being this evil, nasty woman just because she wants to. No, she may be evil and nasty because of how life has treated her and what life has shown her, as harsh as it did and as fucked up as it was for her. And these are the things y'all not thinking about. You're trying to make it seem as if people could be fucking brutalized in life, talked to horrifically from childhood, beat and treated like they ain't shit, like they was literally back in slavery. This is how a lot of these fucking parents was treating their kids and dealing with their black daughters. You expect them to go through all that traumatic shit in the childhood, young adulthood, and then somehow most of them were preyed upon by older dudes that just wanted to fuck little girls, and before they were even ready to develop their mentality, right? Oh, almost ran the light. Let me back up. So before to become mothers before their time, before their mind had time to process all the shit that was done to them, okay? You really, really fucking think that these women, your mothers, my mother, other people's mothers, sat down somewhere and was like, you know what? I'm just gonna be a motherfucking fool, a blatant fucking asshole. I'm gonna just do all types of wicked, unnecessary shit to my daughter for no fucking reason at all. There's always reasons behind people's fucking madness and their fuckery. I'm trying to tell you, okay? So by telling you all of this, I am in no way trying to invalidate your feelings or minimize anything you went through, because believe me, I've been through shit too. As a little girl, I had people beat me with extension cords till my skin came off my body. When I was a little girl, just becoming a teenager, I was raped by a grown man. All right? These are things that happen to black women on a daily. in the neighborhoods we live in, because you know what? Nobody, not society, not other black males, nobody checks the black male for his sexual deviancy, his preying, his predator behavior on black women and little girls, and his criminality, his mental illness, real mental illness, not that shit where they just be trying to make excuses for what they do. But nobody checks them. And what they do is when they see horrific shit, right? Instead of them going out of their way to handle it by incorporating new laws, building different housing for women only, children only, or programs that will help to only work and deal with bringing black women and other women in poverty out of poverty, they don't do that. They allow the ignorance, the brutality, the violence, and the dysfunction of those black males on all communities, but especially the black women and little girl community, to fester out of control. All right? So this is the reason why all of your mothers act the way they act. Okay? And your grandmothers too. And there are women like me who are out here who understand the dysfunction of our people and of our women, who have been victims of it, and we didn't have people to explain to us what black male worship was, or being overly male identified, or having a personal inner crisis, or being or having an inferiority complex, or domestic violence, being a domestic violence victim, knowing the signs of it, knowing all of the 6 or 7 phases of it. Nobody was out on no street corner explaining to us, well, you know, Stephanie, the reason why your childhood was so traumatic was because both your parents suffered from this, which was an extension of that. There was no psychologist or psychiatrist or sociologist on any corner explaining to us the science of the fucking dysfunction. Nobody was out there. Nobody was doing that shit. So when you have all this crazy shit happening in your life and in your family, instead of you reacting the way that most of us do, which is going to continue the dysfunction, you gotta learn, like I'm always telling you, self-efficacy, baby. Look up these terms. You gotta learn psychologically how to pull yourself up out of that fucking horror, out of that terror, out of that ignorant shit y'all call generational curses. That ain't no motherfucking curse. That is taught dysfunction, taught malbehavior. That shit is, you ever heard the term nature versus nurture? That's what that is. That is nurture. Somebody has sat there and literally trained you to be a fucking fool. Okay? Somebody has literally sat there and trained you to hate other black women, to despise other black women, to feel like other black women are, oh, watch out, girl, she gonna take your man, and you can't trust no bitch, and you this, that, and the other. That's all the shit they do to you. That is all the bullshit they do to you that causes you to be stupid in your head when it comes to black women. Okay? And when you do dumb shit like that, I'm sorry, I was looking for spots. I'm very sorry. I found one. Okay. So, when you learn these things and you participate in that shit, this is how all that dysfunction continue on generation after generation. So when Nosy Neighbor Lady today was doing that video on explaining to young girls, listen, we all have had issues with with mothers, but she was coming from a stance of forgive and forget. I'm not coming from that stance. I ain't forgiving and forgetting, not a motherfucking thing, right? But what I am telling you is, don't forget. Don't let them motherfuckers ever do shit to you again. But you best yourself. Like, if you grew up with a mom that was not able to feed you, raise you properly, have appropriate money to take care of you, your brothers and sisters and shit like that, you make sure that you're able to do it for your children if you have them. Now, I'm not an advocate for black women having children when they can't afford them, But if you already have them, what are you going to do with them? You can't throw them in the garbage, right? So what you got to do is you have to go out of your way, okay, to you got to go out of your way to make sure that you are able to. All right. I'm sorry. I got to fight with cars right now. Go ahead. All right, so you got to go out of your way, right, to make sure that the things that were not done for you, you could do it for your kids. That's how you break that cycle. And you also understand that the people that you saw your mom dealing with and having relationships with, you make sure you don't go out with people like that. And you also make sure that you do not develop that mentality of where you feel like, oh, I can only see myself with a black guy. You have to get rid of that, because it is the black male that is causing all these motherfucking problems for everybody in the black community. That it is him. So when you get to the point where you say, I'm not going to be doing those things I saw my women doing in my family, I'm doing it differently, and you stick to your guns and you actually do it, you will get a fucking better result. You know what I mean? You're going to get a better result. But if you that shit is not even a parking spot. No wonder everybody was passing that shit by. I'm tripping. But okay. That's a bus stop. Oh, right here. But I am going to have to turn around, come around, and go back in front. And I hope that shit is still there by the time I turn around. All right. So anyway, you got to break those generations of dysfunction taught to you. All right, everything that was done to you didn't like, you got to do differently, and you can't give in, because a lot of people grow up and say, oh, when I have kids, I'm gonna never do what was done to me, and they turn around and turn right into their mother, turn right into their father, their grandmother, their aunt, uncle, cousin, whoever the fuck raised them. Oh, yeah, thank you, homie, for believing. Now I got it for real. So this light changed. All right, I got it. All right. So, ooh, shit. Follow the rules of the road, Stephanie. So, that is it in a nutshell. Young women, you got to understand. It doesn't fucking matter what your mother said, what she did, how she lived, your relationship with her now. All you got to do is be civil. Believe me, I do it to my own mother, okay? Me and her have a relationship, but it's not a good one because of all the things that she has inadvertently, indirectly allowed to happen to me as a child, because you can't expect a junkie, a person who's hooked on drugs or hooked on alcohol, to have a sound mind. It just don't work like that, right? So I have not forgiven my mother. I kind of understand that she was just fucked up. So if she's fucked up, there's no way that she can make sure shit is right by me. That's how I handle it. And in turn, when I had my kids, I made sure not one nigga ever was able to touch my daughter's body, do anything to them, beat them, touch them, yell at them, scream at them. I was not fucking having it, right? Even when it came to their father. When I had to get rid of my other husband, right? My second husband, because of my son. He was his father biologically, but he felt like he gonna over discipline him. And these are things I didn't know about. But when my son brought it to my attention, I said, okay, that's a fucking wrap. You got to go. And I made him leave. And then I don't know what the fuck. Okay, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm fucking up the people behind me because I'm talking too much. I apologize, sir. He looking at me like, lady, what the fuck are you doing? You know how to drive or what? But he was cool about it. He didn't really give me no slack, but he was looking at me like, girl, come on now, what the fuck are you doing? Yeah, I'm talking to y'all, and I wasn't paying attention to the lights, and I had the turn signal, and I'm still sitting there talking. That's why he was looking at me like, what the fuck are you doing? But he was cool about it. All right, so anyway, listen. I got a little time so I could talk freely now. Let me get behind the crosswalk line. All right, I'm good. What up, people on the bus? What up? So stop fucking with the people. Everybody gonna get out the car and be like, what you say? What you say? What you say? So anyway, listen. You at least be civil with your mom, right? You ain't gotta be the motherfucker that's buying roses and shit for her and baking cakes on holidays and coming through on the birthday like that if you don't want to. If you don't want to, you don't have to. But listen, that is your mom. This is the way I feel about it. Of course, my suggestion is totally optional to you, right? It's not mandatory. Do right, because you never know when your kids are gonna end up doing some ridiculous shit to you right out of left field that you never saw coming, that you feel you don't warrant, but they feel, oh yeah, bitch, you deserve it, you know? So you know, be cool with that, you know what I mean? Like, think about it in terms of equal punishment for the crime. Whatever the crime is, give it the appropriate punishment. Don't go overboard. You know what I mean? He leaving. So anyway, what am I saying to you? He can't fit? Alright, so back to what I was saying. Yeah, so it was just one of those things where I really liked her video today because she was speaking about the bad relationships between some mothers and daughters in the black community. We got to stop that narrative shit about all black mothers having an issue with their daughters, because that is all of a fucking lie, okay? All of us do not have dysfunctional relationships or problems with our mama, because all of us did not live in the projects. All of us didn't come from women who were generationally fucking ignorant, generationally unemployed, generationally impoverished. All of us do not come from that. And you know that. So when you're making these videos, please take the time to think about telling the fucking truth about the diversity of black women, and stop going along with this fucking one size fits all narrative that these ignorant ass black males on YouTube and in life are out here trying to push out about us. Because what that does is, I always bring this back to how Hitler got everybody to hate the Jews and allowed them to be put in concentration camps along with everybody else that wasn't Aryan in Europe, right? When he was doing that. When you allow people to pigeonhole you into a very, very nasty, disgusting description of who you are, making you out to be less than human, less than animal, trying to give other people an excuse to hurt you, kill you, hate you, harm you. This is what you do when you are playing into these dumb ass stereotypes that these black males on YouTube and in life, on network televisions, podcasts, and etc., are out here trying to put out about black women. When they're trying to monolith us into a one-woman character for all of the many different diverse versions of black women that are out here, we're individuals. We don't come as a unit. We're not a carton of fucking eggs. Every one of us is different. So for them to always try to make it seem like we are wretches, not ratchet, because we're not fucking parts of a mechanical device. None of us are a wretch in behavior. None of us are any of these come to life real stereotypes that were created from slavery and added on to up until today to make these people believe that we are loose, dirty, funky, don't have good hygiene. What's that word they use when you want to be sexually loose? Promiscuous, irresponsible, all types of ignorant shit that we are not. Black women are the most responsible women, resourceful women, fuck y'all, strong women out here, because we take all the shit life has to give to us. We catch that shit, We do a Kamehameha. Y'all know Goku? Kamehameha, right? We do that. We ball all that shit up. We mold it into whatever the fuck we need to make it in life. And you have examples of black women like that throughout the fucking history of us in this country. Everybody from Sojourner Truth to Harriet Tubman to people like Isaiah Thomas's mom. I can't think of her right now. This is a lady that lived in the worst shithole in fucking Chicago, right? Bullets flying in and out of her fucking apartment every day and night, where her and her children basically lived on the fucking concrete floor. She was able to get her kids out of there, bring one of her sons to stardom, right? And many of her other children to be academic scholars, right? Same thing with people like Tavis Smiley. His mother had like over 10 children. Very impoverished woman, very smart woman, mentally smart, academically smart. Almost all of her children, not almost, all of her children are college educated. Doing things in life where everyone in the world knows her children. To some extent, if you're running in the circles where her children are, they're on television, they're in the radio, they're in science, they're in law, they're in this, they're in government. Her kids are everywhere. These are the typical examples. And if you want to have a fucking monolith of black women, that's the monolith of a black woman. A hard-working single parent who's out here busting her ass and instilling all type of character, all types of wisdom, education, resiliency, and accountability and responsibility and reliability into her kids. And when she releases them out into the world, they become those people that we look up to and go, oh yeah, oh this one is great, that one is great, oh look how they do this, look how they do. But we never stop to think, what was their mama like to make them that way? That's the typical black woman, not the disgusting Sexy Red and motherfuckers like that machines in society, like the music industry machine, put together to take those black women I just spoke about and turn them into a Sexy Red. Because when you have those black women I spoke about that are the majority of the black community pumping out all these people into society all over America, which is why every place where black people live is not a hellhole and not shit. That's not true either, right? You know what's crazy about those myths and those stereotypes is that it's a small percentage of us living like that in every fucking state in this country, which is why these motherfucking white people in America got to put out shit like Simply Red and Sukiana and just any fucking black woman that's going to go on any show, reality TV show, and literally almost say, oh, I'll suck your dick for any amount of money. I'll do any amount of ridiculous shit. Just give me some money. That's why they got to put these people out into society and on TV and promote it like it's a good thing. It's because the high morality in the majority of black women, we ain't going for that shit. Not me. Nobody I fucking am related to. Anybody I know. Any black people that live around me. None of us is selling our ass for $1. None of us is selling our soul for $1. We ain't selling our children for $1. We'd rather live on these motherfucking streets and do the best we can to keep our fucking family together and safe than to sell the fuck out and destroy a whole entire family or a whole entire population of black people. That is the majority of black people, which is why you always got attacks coming at you. Which is why you got all these black dudes on YouTube trying to convince the whole world that black women are something that they are not. And when other people interact with us, they fucking know it. Oh, believe me, baby, they know it, okay? Let me tell you, I'm going to start walking in the streets with my camera on record, because let me tell you, when I was walking across this, just give you an example of how people know you're not the piece of shit people always try to make you out to be, right? I was beginning to cross the street to come to the car, to get in the car, to go to the doctor's office, right? And it was a whole lot of traffic because, in New York City, we're going through that gridlock shit, right? And it's gridlock alert because from a little bit after Thanksgiving to 2 days after New Year's, driving in New York City is going to be crazy traffic because everybody's shopping. Everybody's in the holiday spirit, right? So they all over fucking New York, right? So it's hard to drive here unless you come to places like where I'm at. I'm right now in a place called Bayside, Queens, right? This is where I go to the doctor. It's rural here. When I say rural, it's the city, but it's mad space here, okay? Ain't nothing here but residential shit, like houses. You got a mini mart down the block for you to buy some food and shit for people around here. They put in their house. And then another block or two down, you got 3 or 4 big ass grocery stores, right? So this is a residential area. This is what New York does, right? New York is not that shit niggas on YouTube talk to you about it being project ridden. Nah. If you really knew anything about New York, you would know. It is 90% residential, right? And then the other 10% is commercial and fucking projects and low income shit. The majority of us bust our ass in this city. We really do. Okay? So now, in this type of area, you see I know you probably can't see it from the angle of the camera, but if I lifted it up, right? There's cars going by me because this is a roadway. This is how many lanes is it? 1, 2, 3, 6 on a residential street. This is a main boulevard, right? This is Francis Lewis Boulevard. This is a main boulevard in Queens, right? This shit is 6 lanes. 6 lanes is usually reserved for a fucking highway or some shit like that, right? Or freeway, whatever, right? But I'm telling you that to explain to you the width, the largeness of the area, right? So it's different portions and locations in New York City where when you live in these areas, you're not experiencing that ghetto shit that these niggas on YouTube are always trying to make you feel like it's on every fucking block of New York City. You see how they lie? This is why you don't listen to these motherfuckers when they're giving these stories about where they live and how all black women are, because not true, baby. I told y'all it's not true. Whenever you see me, you looking at a black woman that does not fit that stereotype and that monolith stereotypical story they try to push. I have never lived in the projects, never been poor. Do I have dysfunction in my life? Motherfucking yes, because there are black males around me, okay? And I live in America in a white supremacist country as a person that is suppressed and oppressed. Of course I'm going to have trauma and all types of shit in my life. But when it came to eating every night, sleeping in my own bed, having lights on, going to good schools, I went to fucking private school and public school and parochial. What is that? Do you call that parochial school? It was Montessori school. So I don't know if that's parochial. I doubt it. But people who know Montessori school, because a lot of them don't exist anymore. I went, my first years of schooling, I went to Montessori school. Then I went to a good private school. Then I went to a good public school. Then I also had a small time in Catholic school, but I hated that shit. I used to get in trouble in Catholic school more than anything. They took me out. Okay? I went to a school right here in Queens, a private school. It's called the Queens Garden School. That's where I went. And they had other private schools that are no longer around because they funded out. They couldn't stay afloat. But this is what I'm saying to you. Like, we're not all the same. Just because I cuss and I act a little guttural, that's just who the fuck I am. And that just comes from the colloquialisms and the realities and the humor of blackness. But that don't mean that I come from a fucking ghetto or gutter or projects. No. And everybody in the projects is not a piece of shit either, contrary to popular opinion. There are many good people in there. As a matter of fact, in New York City, the majority of the people that work for the city live in the fucking projects. Because they like to take advantage of all of the discounts, or I should say specials or options they have for taking everything city. Like, let me explain. When you live in the projects, when you work for the city, you get access to different programs only for people who live in the projects that work for the city. Like, they have engineering programs, they have plumbing programs, electrical programs, hospitality administration, hospital administration. What I'm trying to say is, instead of you going to college, you could live in the fucking projects and be part of a city program that will give you a fucking license or a degree just as if you went to a 4-year college. That is why people who work for the city live in the projects. And then in addition to that, when they live in the projects for a long time, let's say they stay there for 5 to 10 years, right? They saving money, right? There are project to home ownership programs in the projects. But these bum niggas that live there, that don't want to go to school, don't want to work, want to live off welfare, they will tell you otherwise. But since I worked in the projects and I was a housing assistant, I worked in Manhattanville in Harlem, and I also worked in Brooklyn in the Williamsburg housing before they sold it to a private company. I used to work in the Williamsburg housing projects on 176 Morger Street. For all y'all that live in New York City, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's owned now by a Japanese company, a private management. Not owned, sorry. It's managed by a private management, but it's still owned by the city. It's so telling you all that to explain to you that when you hear all of these bullshit ass stereotypes about black people and how it's projected in society for it to be believed, and for you to hear it and believe this is what you're supposed to live up to, this is supposed to be your self-fulfilling prophecy, is why a lot of that shit contributes to how people function in their life, how they treat their children, how the relationships go out of whack between mother and daughter, father and son, husband and wife. Because don't get shit twisted, right? Just because I'm telling you how shit gets fucked up is hot in here by society and the life we live in and the real prejudice against black people in this country we live in, is why so much has happened to black women and why they are so fucked up through trauma and do things that are harmful to their children from time to time. Not all the time, right? That's all a part of it. And do not get me wrong, I am not telling you to bring no bum ass motherfucking broke dude in your house, because even if he rich, I still say don't bring that motherfucker in your house. Because all the trauma that has happened to us has also happened to those males. And they think the way to correct the trauma that has happened to them is to beat down and punch down on black women and girls, and to abuse, use, and kill us, because they don't have the manhood it takes for them to get out in this world, fight the white man, and build his own community within this fucking country. And you know, they can do it because it was done before by all the real black men that lived before 1950. How about that? Okay? That's my grandfather and all the ones before him. Because my grandfather was fucked up, didn't treat my grandmother right too when it came to their personal relationship. And she wanted to get rid of his ass, and eventually they ended up sleeping in 2 different bedrooms by the time they was in their 70s. But check this out. That man owned land, had more than one house, okay? Had insurances and everything else to take care of his wife and his family and his grandchildren. And he did it. And he never stopped until the day he fucking died of a massive heart attack, okay? So, those dudes don't exist anymore. And I don't care how women feel, even me, that feel like we could raise decent males and put them into the society. The society's gonna eat them the fuck up. It's gonna socialize them into pieces of shit just like almost everybody else. And they don't have to be as bad as everybody else, but they're still gonna be affected. Because this is the society we have inherited. This is trash out here. And the majority of people out here that go along with the shit that goes on in everyday society, they're trash. They have no moral standing. They have no personal integrity. They don't care about nobody else but themselves. And that is also part of the reasons why we have the bad relationships we have with some. I'm going to emphasis again on some black women and their daughters. Not all of us. Because a person like me, I've had almost the worst things that can happen to a little black girl happen to her. And I survived that shit and I recognized it for what it was. I didn't hold on to no everlasting evil ass hate from my mother or anybody else, because in addition to my mother, I got a fucking father too. So if I'm gonna hold her responsible for every fucking thing that happened to me, I'm gonna hold his monkey ass responsible too, whether he was alive or dead, because his fucking ass should have made provisions after his death. Okay? Because guess what? My grandfather did, and my grandfather before that did too. So anyway, right? That's all part of what happens with us. So black women, I got to get out of this car because I'm turning into a fucking, I don't know, I'm cooking over here. I got to get out of this shit. So, but anyway, think about all this stuff I said and go watch Nosy Neighbor Lady's video about the mothers and the daughters, because she did a very good job. Listen, I will critique the fuck out of somebody, but I also will give credit where credit is due. And normally, she's usually an asshole. But she did a really good job on that video. And if I could do anything in my power to pump it, I will put it up on my community page, right? She did a very good job. Y'all, please support it. Because like I said, she's not perfect. And I could tell she's working on herself, because a lot of shit that she used to do, like talking to black women like they was crazy and calling us all types of names and taking her fucking frustration and anger and whatever the fuck was going on with her out on us in the video, she has curtailed that shit greatly, right? That's another thing, black women. When you see motherfucker trying, even if you hate they fucking ass, when it's a black woman only, nobody else, right? When you see a motherfucker trying, they stumbling, but they trying, like a fucking baby learning to walk, right? Give them some grace. Because your ass too one day might be stumbling and trying, okay? Listen, I love black women. I'm going to die loving black women. I'm probably going to end up getting killed trying to save black women, because the other day I was about fighting this man in the fucking subway because he choking up some black lady against the wall. I jumped in. So if you hear about a woman getting killed on the subway, it's probably me. So, but anyway, I love black women. I love who I am. I love what we represent. And we need to respect that and protect that. And we need to stop hating on each other and start understanding where each other's coming from. Build and mend the relationship if you can. But if you can't, walk away from it. But stay away from it where you protect yourself and you don't cause that person no injury. All right? It's hard to do, but it can be done. Right? Before I get out of here, I want to finish telling that story about how people recognize who we are when they see our brilliance, because I had got sidetracked and running my mouth so much. But when I was crossing the street to come to my car, right, I had all my shit zipped up. I had my hat on, right? I'm crossing the street, right, and the bus driver's being a bitch, right? What he does is, I'm walking very elegantly, sophisticatedly across the street. He doesn't like that, you know? Because you got to watch out for a lot of these Hispanic males, because they're just like these ignorant black motherfuckers. They're fucking black wannabes, right? So I guess my high self-esteem and my high self-confidence was fucking with this nigga. So he decided to, which is why I said I'm going to start crossing the street with my camera on. He decided to try to inch his bus up to hit me, right? So now, I ain't crazy. I ain't going to get out of shape about that, because I know I ain't going to let him hit me, right? I'm going to jump out the way and try not to get hit. So I didn't realize it was another person in a car just sitting right next to, adjacent to the bus, stopped because of all the traffic, right? So I'm jaywalking, but I'm still walking through the traffic. So as he was moving up, I didn't see the other person on the side of the bus. I'm looking at the bus driver, and I said to him, yeah, keep driving, motherfucker. And I said, you better not hit me. So I'm looking at him with a nasty face. Then the other car comes up a little, and it beeps the bus, right? And I'm not paying attention to that man. I'm looking like, why is he beeping? Is he trying to beep me? Like, lady, I'm going to hit you, or watch out. So I'm not thinking about him. I'm still studying, looking at the bus driver, because I hear the beep, so I'm not going to walk, right? But it was like an Indian man or Arab or something. He beeped the bus, and he said, what are you doing? The woman is walking in front of the bus. And I could literally hear him say that. And the bus driver just looked, the Hispanic bus driver was looking at him like he's stupid, right? And me, I'm walking in front of the bus like this. Like, fuck you, nigga. As I'm walking past, right? So when I hear what the dude says, and I get on the walk past the bus, walking to the front of my car, I said to him, thank you, right? He said, no problem. He should know better. He should know better. You don't do that when women are crossing the street. So clearly, this is a man who has a high level of respect for women, because he does not know me from anywhere. And with him being either an Indian or an Arab, wherever he comes from, right? I'm not one of his women, but I'm a woman nonetheless. And he felt like this man should know how to behave in the presence of a woman. That's where that comes from. When I tell you, people see you. People see your brilliance, and they don't need to be told. That man don't know me from nowhere. He did not owe that to me. He just saw in whatever his beliefs were as an individual person, and from wherever he came from, when it comes to how men treat women, he saw a violation. And he was man enough to say, what are you doing? Because real men are not going to stand there and let any other man disrespect a woman or child. I have seen that my whole life. I'm not lying to you. Right hand of God. Whenever I've been anywhere where a woman was in peril, and there was a white man around or any other man around that knew this shit ain't right, they did not hesitate to spring into action. Okay? So keep that in mind too when I'm talking to you about, like building up your best self. It's called self-efficacy. Don't let anybody shame you for being a single mother. You know why you got to be a single mother. You come from a group of women who do not have men in their race of people. And when you are in relationships with these black males, they think it's their duty to kill, rape, and hurt black women and little girls. That's what they live for these days. We all know black femicide is ridiculous. It's every 4 to 5 hours. I saw a video on YouTube yesterday, some news clip about black femicide becoming more prevalent in the news all over America, because it was in Cleveland, Ohio, where last year they said it was only 7 women, black women, and they're now starting to call the race. So they about to do something about this shit, right? Because they understand that it's going to cause societal chaos, right? Remember I told y'all about that before. Government is not going to allow that. So last year, the reporter was talking about how it was only 7 black women who died of domestic violence homicide, aka black femicide, right? And this year, it was 27. And we getting ready to go into a new year, right? So it tripled in number from the year before, okay? So they were pointing this shit out, and they were saying how this is becoming a problem. And lawmakers are beginning to put their heads together on this. That was their literal words from the report. When I heard that shit, I said, about motherfucking time. About motherfucking time. Y'all think I'm bullshitting black women. And for all you fucking pick me motherfuckers out there, and I'm so in love with a black male, your day is coming. Because they going to round these motherfuckers up and throw them away and throw them up, lock away the key. Or however the fuck it goes. Throw them up. How the fuck does it go? Lock them up, throw away the key. There you go. Sorry, my euphemisms and idioms are not on point, okay? I don't know a lot of them. So anyway, they're going to get rid of them. because they realize, right, that their actions and their killing of black women is pouring out and creating external problems, extended problems from that one thing. And white people are not stupid. They know that if this motherfucker, as much as this black motherfucker, as much as we want to keep promoting him and keep pretending that he's the head of the household and he is a reliable, accountable black male when we know he's not, if he keeps causing all these problems in society, we're going to have to deal with this motherfucker the same way we had to deal with him before. So when they do begin to start to deal with them, you're going to begin to hear and see, because it's like clockwork in a regular pattern with white America. When they start gunning for a motherfucker, you're going to hear all this bad shit in the news about them. Constant. You're going to hear people talking about them. They're going to start creating programs for only black women. You're going to see all that shit begin to happen. When you see that shit begin to happen, you know they on their ass. They are, because remember I told you, when you read the book Dark Psychology, all of this is in there. These are strategies white people have honed and created hundreds and hundreds of years now. They know they can't just go in society and you motherfuckers grab them all up, throw them in the trash. People will go crazy. Everybody, even non-black people will go crazy. So they got to work their way up to making these motherfuckers disappear out of society. And they're on the first level right now. Because when I saw that shit on YouTube, and like I told you, I saw a video too about them having programs only for black women, and the black dude was running his mouth. Oh, how is this fair? And I said to myself, they're beginning. I said, because see, what people don't realize about America is, you can say whatever you want about America, but they are going to maintain law and fucking order in this country. Even though they use that term, law and order, as one of those code words to talk to other white people about black people, to let other white people know, like, yeah, we're going to be on these black people's asses. We're going to start fucking them up and keeping them down and uplifting everybody else. They do that both ways. In the code talk and in controlling society. Because do you know how many fucking people it is in America? Black people and other people of color? More than white people ever. It's like 100,000 black and other people of color compared to one motherfucking white person. They know it. Which is why they got to always promote that bullshit about you being a minority and they're a majority when they're not. And all that dumb shit about, oh, black people are only 13% of the population. Untrue. Never have been 13% of the population and never will be. We have always been the majority of people in this country because they bred us as slaves. Do you not think? Right? So, they have to keep control of society. Because they honestly know, military and all that shit aside, if every fucking black person and any other person of color in this motherfucker raised up, they would slaughter all white people in a few hours. It is that, the fucking ratio of black people and others to white people is that crazy. It is that unbalanced. And that's how it is all over the world. White people are this big and everybody else is like this big plus my arm and half of my body. It's really that serious. So they know that shit. And so when they see shit getting out of control, they go, okay, we got to slowly start reeling this shit, pushing it back, bringing it in, because this is getting out of hand. And they know it. And if you don't think that people don't see the divide between black women and black males in society in all of America, you crazy. Okay? And people are now starting to understand what black women have been telling these motherfuckers for years. Despite the fact that these black niggas on YouTube are constantly trying to dehumanize us to the world. The world is starting to wake the fuck up and see, oh no, motherfucker, it ain't the black woman, it's you. It's you with your dirty, nasty, stinking, fucking musty, shit-stained drawers ass. It's you. All right, I've been in this car long enough. Let me get out of here. Black women, have a beautiful day. Go check out that video. I'm going to put it up on my community page. Enjoy, babies. Smooches. Bye.